Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. What is going on, Chip?
Oh, Jeff.
You know what? I'll tell you what, man. Crypto airdrops are not all those lollipops and rainbows that we were promised.
Lollipops and rainbows.
Puppy dogs and kitty cats. I don't know.
And unicorns.
And unicorns. There we go. But you know what? XRP still moves money, and Ethereum costs a hell of a lot of money to use. But there's actually a lot of cool things that we want to get into today. We got a lot of cool tweets, a lot of cool articles. So if you're ready to kick this thing off.
Yeah, I think we should get it going. Let's do it.
Welcome to On the Chain.
On the chain, Jeff. On the chain. Yeah, it's so funny about these airdrops. They sounded so exciting, but there's so many now, and it's hard to understand which ones are good, which projects will materialize.
They're just coming. They're coming from everywhere. It's like,
they really
boom,
are.
Boom, boom. Here's an airdrop. There's an airdrop. Here's an airdrop.
And I still think to this day, here's an airdrop. There's an airdrop. Everywhere is an airdrop. I still think to this day, probably one of the strongest ones. A couple of them really, but there was Equilibrium, EQ. That was a nice drop. Which, if you sold at the top end of it, and you got 5,000, you could have walked away with 5K. That was that one. It's since reduced in value. VGB was up to, I think, almost 700 at one point for the 500 that everybody was supposed to get 1,000, but they said, hey, let's give it to more people. Let's split it down the middle. Let's give it to 500 each. And at least they got more people involved. And how can you complain? You didn't do anything to receive it, right?
It's all free money, man. it
really is, and it's funny because some of the projects that I, sign up for, they were like worth cents. And then like you see them slowly rising and it's like $15 here, $30 there, it's pretty good. It's something, it's
it's kind of cool, but you know what? I mean, what gets me is all the hype around it. I mean, it's really cool to be able to take advantage of it, to participate in it. And then, like you said, you look like the whole thing with Flare and Spark, and they're doing a 1-for-1 match on your XRP, and they kind of made it relatively easy, right? They just said, if you hold it in the right exchange, we're going to do the airdrop. And it was an easy snapshot for them to take for those exchanges that participated. End of story. Obviously, then they ran into some issues, but then they easily did the airdrop with the Songbird, so people could kind of play around with that and move it to wherever they wanted to. For those exchanges that participated, again, easy. Then this whole thing with the trust lines and establishing and trying to figure out if you have enough XRP, if you're getting the right airdrop. And I remember, over the course of the past couple of years, when there were different airdrops like BSV or BCH, or, I think BCH was an airdrop, but I know BSV was an airdrop, and it just materialized in your wallet.
Yeah.
All of a sudden it just shows up, and then that's kind of cool. You log in, you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. There was a fork, and now I've got some extra assets sitting there. But these big projects, Chip, you and I have talked about this a lot. It seems to like detract from the quality of the product, right? Like Vagabond, right? Vagabond kind of tripped up, got caught up in this whole airdrop thing. And for so much time, people are just focused on that. No focus on what the project is.
That is true. But I do think that one of the good sort of fixes that came out of that happened to be that these newer projects that are coming out that are doing airdrops, you need to be authenticated with your global ID. So if you've gone through all the work of doing that, and then so as long as your wallet for XRP is validated in there, I noticed the newer ones are making you do that. I'll pull something up. I'll pull a tweet up here in a minute here, but that to me is great because, like you said, Vagabond, and again, how would they know how crazy people would be about it? They didn't know how many they're going to have. And then when they had so many, then you had all these multiple accounts. Then there was these people trying to game the system, and who's the real ones, and did they maybe filter some of the people, the early days that were legit? And again, that's something that they attempted to filter out. That's why I think this global ID thing is really going to probably save things a little bit.
It's interesting. Yeah. And now we have Solo, right? So Solo's coming through, and, Solo's going to be interesting.
Yeah, that Solo drop is interesting too. And the whole core, which I think was an interesting concept. I kind of like the way that they're not being so specific on on a date when they're going to do it. That's a rolling date. Like the first core snapshot happened between 24th of December, I believe, and the 31st. So somewhere along the lines, they later came out and stated that it happened on the 24th. But at the time, you didn't know. Suppose that it was on the 31st and you didn't have any solo sitting in your wallet, you wouldn't have qualified for it. And I think by the way, now the next one I believe is going to be even further along than that. I think that's a good thing because then you're incentivizing people to hold, but you're not bound by it. And if you miss it, you miss it. But when you have that hard date and everybody gets it and then they sell it, it creates a lot of market disruption. So I think in a lot of ways, this is a better methodology, just saying it's going to happen between these two dates and only they know when it's going to happen. Either you make it or you don't. You either sell it or you don't. And it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, that's it. So here Jim D's bringing up an interesting point. Airdrops are teaching me new esoteric things about the XRPL. For example, there's a freeze option on new projects, offer sponsors to prevent coin dropping. I thought that's kind of cool too. So if you can offer an airdrop and do a freeze, so maybe do a 30-day freeze, you get your asset, you get your token, but you can't do anything with it for 30 days. But that's it. Here's the catch. It's kind of like eBay, right? Or an auction, right? The whole point of an auction, you can set your reserve price. But if you set your reserve price too high, then you don't get the excitement of the auction, right? So people, they don't, and it keeps saying reserve not met. People are going to eventually stop bidding. However, if something has a market value, meaning a value that people agree that it has, it's worth, that item, that product will typically always trade for in and around that price point. So if you put a product, let's say up on eBay and you start your auction at 99 cents and the product's worth $1,000, there's a good chance that you're going to create the fervor of the auction as it gets closer and closer to that $1,000, but you're attracting more and more people to bid. And when someone comes in and you have, maybe 10, 20 people bidding from 99 cents to $50 to $100. And then all of a sudden, you get the serious ones closer to 1,000, but you get more excitement, more people, and it's eventually going to trade at its price point. And I'm looking at these airdrops. If you lock them, is it going to create the same excitement, or are we going back to the way the airdrops were before where, hey, it comes, it goes, you got it, and everyone moves on with their life, and stop trying to use the airdrop to create hype and FOMO around your product or your project. Your project should be able to stand on its own merit, and it's, to me, I think that the airdrops are kind of a detraction from, not saying, hey, I don't want to get the airdrops, but it's also, you're kind of like chasing after, this kind of little bit of crumbs that are being sprinkled on the market, kind of cheapens everybody in a way.
Well, the good thing is it's locking up a lot of XRP. You figure there's tens of thousands, if not millions, of trust lines that would two XRP each. Who knows? There might be at some point billions of just locked up in trust lines. But I wanted to share this a little bit, what I was talking about, just give a little more clarity around this. But let's take a look at this. There's an account that I think does a really good job. It's called XRP _airdrops. All they do is they focus on projects and what they do. And this is what I was alluding to before. Several airdrops are requiring global ID verification to receive the airdrop. It's getting more common. Register your global ID also puts you at the top of the list to receive future airdrops. So how do you verify it? Well, you go to your XRP address, you install global ID. I already had mine installed, so this was very easy for me to do. You open up the global ID app on the device. You go to identity, you click the plus, you click financial. Because the cool thing about global ID is you can authorize your Twitter account. There's a lot of things that you can actually authorize in there. It's a really powerful app. You go to financial, you click the XRP ledger account verification. You open up some, you click I understand, and when it opens up Zum, you just slide it like you normally would with the thing, and that's it. And then you click the check button, and that's it. Then you're registered, and so that's how they're going to be able to tell who's legit and who's not. Because in order to get a global ID, it's really an extensive KYC, know your customer, and what's the other one? The KYC, AML, anti-money laundering. You got to supply some stuff, photos of yourself, and there's a lot of stuff you have to do. You just can't say throw a name on there and some fake stuff. It all has to be legit. And then they
I
also
like that.
and they also cross-reference it too with some other details out there as well. For example, you can do like voting stuff, voting records, and all that. So they cross-reference it with a bunch of stuff. And I'd set it up a while ago, and I was just shocked at how easy it was to verify it. So this is the nice thing. It puts you at the top of the list versus, because sometimes when you do an airdrop, Jeff, it might say something to the tune of like no KYC or not, just like a red mark. But even if it is KYC, people have a way to get around that. That's not 100%. So
Yeah.
I like this. This kind of came out of some of the I'd say shortcomings of some of these other airdrops. You can't really blame the people doing the airdrop, but it's kind of one of these things where you kind of live and learn. It's like, oh, I didn't know that was a problem until you tripped over it, and okay, that's a problem. They usually don't put up a red light in an intersection. People complain about it, but it usually takes somebody, unfortunately, getting hurt or killed, and they go like, okay, maybe we should put that up. So these things sort of grow out of a necessity.
Yeah, I like the idea of this of the global ID that allows you to kind of help, access some of your apps, easily, so then it's identified back to you. Maybe there should be a maybe voting should be connected back to your global ID, so it's one vote, one person. Not so much liking what Hans Loaded is saying that you can put that up on the global ID, but their purpose there is, to prove that it's you, that you're the one that had it, so, but to have some sort of an identification connection back to your exchange, back to your Zum wallet, back to your MetaMask account, back to your Bifrost wallet, or, your Coinbase, whatever, if you can easily connect and have that sense of identification. So it's not just your biometric, signature when you're logging in, but, a little bit extra layer of security, it's not a bad thing, I don't think, unless it's abused.
No, not at all. So look, so here's some other news. This report just came out. Everybody's been wondering that if you set a trust line for the Solo, you held XRP and you actually got some Solo out of it. Well, the final report's out here. This just came out minutes ago, but Sologenic put this out. This is the airdrop ratio. What's that?
It's fresh off the press.
Fresh off the press, as they say, Jeff. Yeah. So this is the airdrop ratio for XRP and Solo holders. The official report right here. So we're going to unpack this. It even has an official looking sort of deal right there. And
we'll review that after these messages.
We'll be right back, Jeff. Everybody see you later. Talk to you later. We're thrilled with the amount of participation and exchange support for the Sologenic airdrop. Almost 340,000 trust lines were established to the Sologenic gateway on the XRPL. Think about that, Jeff. 340,000.
That's pretty interesting.
Right. And then there's more than 28 top centralized exchanges that also supported that. 28 exchanges. Snapshot was successfully completed at block number, I'm not going to read it, at 8 p.m. UTC on December 24th, according to the schedule that was announced. The compliance team at Sologenic reviewed the top 1,000 wallet addresses with the most XRP holdings to ensure that the Solo airdrop goes to the actual XRP holders. And after the review, they found that there were some wallet addresses were believed to be owned by certain exchanges, did not announce the airdrop support. However, they created a trust line that claimed the airdrop. What do you think about that,
Interesting. I think that's a little dirty.
Do you think one of them was one of those big wallet addresses belonged to Coinbase? I'm wondering.
Yeah,
Weird,
that's really the wrong approach.
Right.
And that's interesting too, because now they're saying, okay, we're going to utilize all the assets of everybody to get the airdrop. Don't like that. And it's good that they're actually reviewing it to say, hey, if you're an exchange, you're not getting the airdrop. Okay, you're out.
There you go. Bam. Oh, really? I have a login, but I'm not going to log in right now. So as a result, we're glad to inform you that we've excluded the following wallet addresses from the airdrop. So this is like this is why Solo did a nice job on this. He said, hey, give us some time. It's going to be at least 7 days. It took a little bit longer, but they wanted to make sure they got everything in order. And this is one of the things that So check this out, Jeff. Look at that. One wallet address had 24 million, 24,000. So 24 million, 21 million, and 13 million XRP.
Yeah.
So
Not
these
bad.
were excluded. Be interesting to
I think that third one is Sir John's wallet right there.
could be Sir John, yeah. Or JV, you never know, man. It's one of the two. But think about that, Jeff. So you can find out who owns these wallets and go find out who is playing a little bit of dirty pool there, Jeff. Again, it's just not, doesn't seem right. If you didn't openly support it, then you set up a trust line and now you're excluded. But imagine having 24 million XRP, and what would that be? So this brings us to the following final XRP and solo holdings that
Crypto
successfully.
G is right there.
Might be
all three of them are BitBoys.
Well, no, he's not an exchange. That if we start hearing about the BitBoy exchange, Jeff, then we got another thing to worry about. But so this brings us to the following XRP and solo holdings that everyone's been waiting for. Drum roll, please. Successfully participated in the solo airdrop. Total XRP holdings participated 22.
Wow.
22 billion 439,948,543.12233.
Wow.
That's insane. The total solo holdings participated 80,512,388, and then a bunch of different little odds and ends after that. So you can just see that, and this is something you brought up, Jeff, the idea of how many people hold solo versus XRP. It's a pretty big contrast there.
No, definitely is.
So here are the final airdrop ratios. 0.0044 solo per XRP that participated. And if you held solo, you got 1.24.
All right.
Not bad, right?
Almost per each solo. Interesting.
Per each solo. So it's a little bit more than what, we thought it would be a 1-to-1, and 0.004 ended up being a little bit, I guess maybe just a little bit less per, but look at the amount. You had 22 billion. But again, you did nothing to earn this solo. But for those of you that had solo, and at the time of the snapshot, you had almost, if you round up there, I mean, it's really round down, but it's almost 1.25, right? 1.242 solo per each solo participated. The formulas used to calculate the airdrop were as followed, and we're not going to get into this. I'll just put them on screen, but just shows how they arrived at that. How many they had in the airdrop, which was 200 million divided by 2. Then divided that by the amount of XRP holders, and that's what came out to 0.004.
Oh, XRP on the XRP one, right?
Yeah, and then this one here, they had 200 million divided by 2, and then divided by the 80 million of solo holders, and that came out to 1.25 per solo. So, obviously more advantageous if you're holding solo. So when's it going to be distributed? It's going to start on January 20th at 8 p.m. They're going to unlock the 200 million solo, and the system will start processing the transfers. Now, there's been other airdrops too, where I've seen it process over time. I had to go back and review the Equilibrium one because someone was asking me when it actually started. It actually started back in early September, but it happened over a trough of different distributions, 300 here, 400 there, as it was going through. And if you hold your XRP and solo assets in a decentralized wallet, please allow some time for the deposits to appear in your wallet. So they're telling you up front, don't go crazy. The XFi, everyone's like, no XFi, no XFi. They're like, patience, everybody, patience, right? And I think with the XFi too, the XFi drop, it wasn't what a lot of people expected. But again, you're getting it for nothing. I mean, what do you complain about? If it's 0.0 whatever, it's okay. If you hold XRP,
adding up too. Think about all these different airdrops. You get a little bit from all these airdrops, and now it's kind of diversified. And you didn't do anything.
Okay, so I wanted to address something here.
So
the Omega 6 project says, "Oh wow, Solo really lowered the distribution." They actually didn't. They didn't lower the distribution. The amount of people that signed up for it exceeded that. They gave an example, which I don't know if that was a good idea. They're trying to explain how the math is going to work, and it was pretty much like this. They didn't put 22 billion up there. They said, suppose you had X amount, whatever it was, a couple 100,000 XRP holders. This is how they explained in an example how the math would work. They didn't lower anything. It's always been 200 million to XRP holders It's always been 200 million solo to solo holders. The thing is that there's less solo holders, so you get a bigger distribution, and that's why the final distribution ended up being 0.004.
It's interesting. And Jim D brings up a good point. The solo airdrop then cascades into airdrops for core.
Correct.
So you have your XRP, you get your solo that'll come, when was it? January 20th?
January 20th, yeah.
So January 20th, you'll get the airdrop of the solo, and then moving forward for basically 13 months. So at this point, it'll probably be another 12 months. You'll be getting airdrops on your solo of core. So whatever airdrop that ends up being, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so something important here. If you bought solo through a decentralized exchange, you still need to create the trust line to be able to receive your solo when the distribution starts. So that's key. If you use the DEX, you're going to have to figure that one out. Sologenic, there's the gateway trust.
Or
so
you
this
just put it onto Bitrue, right?
I think that was one of the ones that participated. Yeah, but this is if you held it in a private wallet, right?
Right.
So I set the trust line on one of my cold storage walls. So you got to put all this stuff in, and all of this was the custom stuff. You went to XRP toolkit to do that. But what if you held your XRP on Binance? And if you had it on Binance at the time of snapshot, you'll receive your solo airdrop in your Binance.com account. Please note that Solo and the Binance will initially be withdrawable to the Binance Smart Chain. Solo team's creating a wrap Solo using the BEP20 standard on BSC, which allows users to trade Solo on the Binance DEX as well as be able to use. And we've run across stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
I like that. I like that idea though. I mean that's really big. Initially, hopefully it goes on for a period of time. But if you can move it over to the BSC, that's kind of a nice
right?
incentive on Binance.
Yeah, it is, and
We'll
it's kind
see.
of it's a pretty cool thing, really, for sure. I mean, without a doubt, it's a really nice thing.
Get a little wrap solo.
So the other probably outstanding item is if you look at Coreum. This is the other one. I was just pulling this one up here. Let's look at this. Coreum.
Oscar Marston brings up Uphold supports the solo airdrop. However, they will not allow you to trade it or withdraw it for a specified amount of time, for an unspecified amount of time. Which is
well, that's
worrying.
kind of weird. They don't specify the amount of time that you can actually withdraw it. But I mean, it's kind of odd, right? So this is the core what Jim D was alluding to in there. Go ahead and take that one, Jeff.
And maybe you can find this answer wrapped up in here somewhere, but do we need to hold the solo the whole time that core is being dispersed?
Yes.
And yeah, I was going to say, I believe because they're doing every one of those core airdrops, there's going to be a snapshot. So there'll be,
Correct.
I believe, 13 separate snapshots being taken over the course of a year.
Yep, that's exactly right. So the first snapshot happened on the 24th, let's say announced. The next one's going to happen sometime this month. So if you're holding, and again, you could pivot in and out of it if you buy solo. The nice thing is it's a moving scale. Let me see if they have it here. Yeah, this is it right here, I believe. Here it is. Snapshot. There it is right there, Jeff. Exactly. Spot on. 13 snapshots taken within the next 371 days from all the solo wallets. Very first snapshot was supposed to be between the 24th and 31st of December, but that actually happened on the 24th, which they've announced already.
Look at this. This is interesting too. So the Spark was originally distributed on Bitrue via an IOU. Same thing. So Core will be distributed via an IOU on the XRP ledger until they launch their mainnet in August. That's interesting.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that? This whole concept of the IOU.
Well, you're basically fronting it, right? You're instead of waiting to August, you're incentivizing people that hold, let's say, solo to get to actually have core. You have an IOU. So once they launch the mainnet in August, now you have something of value. And I think Bob Ras had talked about the core was already trading in double digits, which again, I don't always advise that any project before it launches, I wouldn't get involved with any of the, because I see a lot of exchanges before the, same thing with Spark. It's an inflated price. It's not reality. There's not, first of all, there's a small market cap. No one's purchasing it. So you're going to have the value is going to be very high, but it's just fake. It's not real. And then once it gets flooded in the market, everyone thinks, oh, the price crashed. It didn't crash. It's just that wasn't a realistic number. Same thing happened with Spark. Everyone's like, oh, Spark, or, any of these tokens, people think the price crashed. It's not really that it crashes. It says you have bigger supply, you have a small market cap. It's dictating the price. So there's the very first snapshot. You got 10 million solo, 12 million. Let's see. Oh, okay, that was the core airdrop. Snapshot 1. There's the math again. This is just an example. 100 million divided by 12 divided by 10.
But Chip, to your point, I was just looking up where Flare is, and Flare is currently at 0.58 on the XRP, so that equates to about 48 cents. So Flare's trading at 48 cents as an IOU over on Bitrue, and there is no real Flare significant market cap.
Right.
Hasn't even really launched yet.
I'm curious if the reason that they can actually do that is because they held an excessive amount of XRP themselves, so they can go ahead and trade it within reason, because they're actually going to hold the token. So I don't understand, the tokenomics of that, the metrics on that. I really don't understand how you could trade something before it's actually available, because to me, at some point, what if you get this massive, what if the actual price is a third or a quarter of what the IOUs are trading at? It's going to be a massive loss. I mean, so I don't understand that. That's why I don't encourage that at all.
And let me see if I can zoom in and look at this order book. There's really no movement, but
no, what is the actual trading on that? Interesting to know.
Right now it's at 58.58 XRP. But it looks like, I don't know if Bitrue, maybe it's just dead. The volume of trades, these are the volumes each individual trade. So we're not talking about huge numbers, but the last trade on it, according to this, was 825.
Right. Now here's something else.
This is probably not.
Here's another question for you,
here,
Jeff. And this is something that I'm just going to throw out to the community here, because this is interesting. Bob Ras put this out about Coreum, but now suppose that now the snapshot happened on the 24th of December, 2021. For if you were holding solo, you got the solo, but for XRP holders, you're also going to receive solo. However, you're not going to receive it until January 20th or 21st or 22nd as it rolls out. Maybe cold storage wallets take a little bit longer. So that brings up the question, is that because you were given that, and that snapshot happened on the 24th, so you're not going to get any Coreum or Core, the token, for December. And unless the snapshot happens after the 20th, when you've actually received your solo, you might miss January too. That's the part that didn't make much sense. In other words, there was no incentive because you haven't received it yet. There's nothing to take a snapshot of. I mean, it really does speak to the fact that if you were a solo holder, you reap the biggest rewards, right? Because if you held solo, you get the core drop when it happens. December, if you keep holding, you get it in January, February, all the way out. I believe it was like 13 months. So that's kind of interesting.
Hey, GDLT is saying basically all these airdrops could have been done better. Projects should take note on how Cosmos ecosystem does their airdrops very smooth.
There you go.
So we'd have to look into the Cosmos and see what's going on over there. Oscar is saying, I think all projects should base their airdrops on XRP holdings.
I'm with you.
But then GDLC is saying, just wait when the XRPL federated sidechains start going live. That'll be interesting if they vote and they actually, push that through so you can get these federated sidechains. And he's saying, I'm sure those airdrops will be based on XRP holdings. Could you imagine? I mean, if that actually happens.
There was this. So this article was, this is kind of weird, right? But this is people were asking about this today. I saw a little dust up on Twitter. Coreum, Sologenic's layer 1 blockchain makes pricey Ethereum transactions a thing of the past. And this is on Forbes, but if you look, it's on Forbes.mc, which I believe is Monte Carlo, is the exchange. So I don't know if it's people are like, what is .mc? It's not .com. What's .mc? What is it? Just because anybody can put up a Forbes logo, put up a top tier domain, and put it up there. But no, it's still a part of Forbes. It's just a different a different one. So this kind of rehashed a lot of stuff we've already seen, but still, I mean, it was again, it's good to see this kind of stuff out there. Let's see what else we have.
Nice.
Here.
All right, I got this here. Let's take a sidestep away from airdrops and
oh man,
and unicorns. Just go over here real quick. I thought, and we can go back to the airdrops, but check out John Deaton. I thought this was a real poignant tweet earlier today, and he's saying, he's referencing back to the lawsuit that was filed against Ripple for about $585. Right?
Unbelievable.
And he's saying, who sues over $585?
Yeah, not 589.
Not yeah, 580. Once you hit 589, hell yeah, you're suing over 589.
Damn right.
But here it's on May 3rd, 2018, a lawyer filed a punitive class action against Ripple and Garlinghouse because his client lost $585 trading XRP, right? So we all might remember this, but according to the complaint, January 6, 2018, this person bought 650 XRP at $2.60 per XRP for a total of $16.90 12 days later. So obviously the price of the whole market was going down. 12 days later, this individual sells for $650 at $1.70, losing $585. Most people say that sucks. Learn my lesson and I'll move on. Right. But here's something that John Deaton is bringing up. I've always been troubled regarding the timing of this punitive class action filed against Ripple during the same period of time. Ether investors were secretly meeting with the SEC asking for a regulatory free pass. The Perkins coin memo and Ether safe harbor is dated March 26, 2018. Ether investors met on March 28, 2018, again in April and June. Punitive class means a lawsuit brought by one or more individuals, but also on behalf of a potential group of others similarly situated. I've always been curious and doubtful regarding this potential class of XRP holders. Would dozens or hundreds or thousands align themselves with this one plaintiff and assert the same claim against Ripple? I remember the reaction of XRP holders when the SEC sued Ripple, and how thousands immediately started tweeting that they did not rely on Ripple or even know of Ripple, nor did they believe they entered into a common enterprise. And so he's bringing this up, now he's, talking about over 63,000 have joined his fight the fight, against the SEC. But filing over $585. I mean, jeez. Yeah.
Right, so Jeff, there's something more behind that. Come on. It's ridiculous.
It's so crazy. So here it gets even crazier. So the plaintiff held XRP for no more than 12 days. He didn't even have enough time to rely on any alleged promise or inducements by Ripple. Maybe he filed the case not because of money, but out of principle. Nope. His lawyer dismissed the case. So what in the world, obviously, so after that case, a few others were filed, although the first case was dismissed. Others have been consolidated, total of 6. Although he dismissed the case he filed, I did notice the original lawyer is still involved. So they're bringing this insane stuff, right? So it started over $585. What kind of person, if there's no ulterior motive there, what would be the purpose of filing a suit? And I think John brings up a really solid point. When you look at everything that he's brought up to this point, as it pertains to what happened with the Ethereum Foundation and all these guys and, all the different inner workings and the timing of events, it puts up a huge question mark, right?
It doesn't make much sense. I mean, it all seems like a very strategic sort of a play there. I don't know. The whole thing is, it's suspect to say this. You know, and the thing about it is like, hey, you know what? Welcome to crypto. You bought it. You bought the high at the market. What do you want from us? You know, what about the people that were sitting there holding since 2015 or 2017? We all could have got wrecked at some point, but those are personal decisions you make. What are you going to sue somebody because you bought Apple and it dropped? You know, it doesn't happen, but let's suppose it did. I mean, it's just kind of weird to me, Jeff. The whole thing is kind of bizarro. I don't know. I don't trust these things, to be honest with you. It's always kind of weird. I want to do
there's something else going on there.
I don't know. It's just. I mean, why would you waste the time? You can't even pay the attorney. I mean, it doesn't even make any sense. Why would you even waste any sort of time at all? It's just it's suspect for sure, man. I don't know. Let's see. I'm trying to share a video here, Jeff, but unfortunately why are there so many tabs open? Let me close some of these tabs. I'm trying to figure out why there are so many tabs going on here.
Which video? The one with Charles Payne?
Yeah, I'm going to play that one because I have it queued up. I got the ad out of it. I just got to make sure that I play it. You know how it is on this, because you got to play the tab. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to find the name of it in there, and it's just not showing up.
Well, while you're looking,
here it is. Got it.
Got it.
Yeah, here it is.
All right.
Here it is. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, this is another really good interview. Charles Payne, one of the best people on Fox Business next to Charlie Gasparino. But let's put this up here. But again, he had Judy Shelton on today earlier, and this is a really solid interview. And let's pay attention to some of the stuff that she is saying here because it's really solid. All right, Charles, what's going on? Everything was working fine. My gosh, I'm telling you what. That's what happens when you got these proprietary players. You get the ad out of there.
Senior fellow at the Independent Institute.
There we go.
Judy, you know, progressives, they're going to be in some very powerful positions, not just the Fed, FDIC, other agencies. How is that going to change our economic system?
Well, I think that anything that is done to appease Senator Warren is a move in the wrong direction. I think it means more government management of the economy, and whether it's on the Fed or the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency or the FDIC, the potential for abusing the financial regulatory powers of those institutions as part of the federal government is worrisome to me.
You know, these are.
So I just want to stop it at every question. You want to chime in there, Jeff? Thoughts about that? No thoughts. Jeff has zero thoughts about that.
I have zero thoughts.
Well, I think it's right. I think.
It.
Well, I think she's making a great point here about, you know, like Senator Warren. I mean, you know, she has her own methodologies and thoughts about how things should go. I mean, more regulation, over regulation. You know, so I think she's kind of right. If you appease that, it's got to be more of a collaborative type of a thing. So let's listen to Charles's next question here.
Folks that a lot of them either believe in modern monetary theory or lean toward that way, and in their hearts, you know, they probably believe the agencies they're involved in should push us in that direction. So, I mean, we should brace for some major changes in policy and mandates, right?
I'm afraid so, but I would say beware of a magnanimous Fed. It's the desire to be benevolent that ends up actually hurting individuals, I believe. The modern monetary theory, as you just referenced it, would say that the federal government has no limits to spending, seems very nice, and that our central bank has no limits to printing money, also seems like a nirvana. The problem is, if you do get inflation, the modern monetary theory cure would not be very welcome to people. Now, it involves taxation, and Elizabeth Warren would like that if it taxed all the millionaires and billionaires, but they're not the ones who go to Walmart and Target. They're not the ones causing inflation, driving up consumer prices or the price of services. It's the middle class,
right, and
even the lower class. So they would get additional taxation, whereas they're the ones suffering from the inflation and getting zero interest on their own savings.
Yeah, pretty much spot on. And it's a longer interview. It's about 5 minutes long, but the whole interview kind of goes this way where she's just nailing it. And one of the reasons I like following her on Twitter because of all the truth bombs she's been dropping.
Yeah, I think, she brings up some interesting points, across the board, but when it comes to Elizabeth Warren, I was looking up her net worth. She's been in, she's worth about 12 million. I thought you should actually have a net worth a little bit higher than that, but apparently her net worth is 12.
Well, that's pretty interesting given the fact that she's been on a $400,000 salary teaching about 6 credit hours as a tenured professor for I don't know how many years, that she's basically fudged her way in there by claiming some cultural appropriation there. That's about the best way I could put it.
So it's saying that she has her investment account here available to nonprofit employees and educators worth around 4 million. They have 2 homes, which is nice, right? A $3 million Victorian in Cambridge and an $800,000 condo in DC. Must be nice, right? So she's running around and she's pointing and wagging her finger at everybody, trying to make a living.
Tax the rich.
And she wants to run off and tax the rich, which we know you can't really focus on taxing one group of people. It always ends up impacting everybody. And so really, just another example of maybe she's got too much money. I would like to see her give up her $3 million home in Cambridge and give it out to the homeless. I think that's
Jeff,
what she should do. If she's so passionate about taxing everybody and taking their money, then why doesn't she dip into her savings account? Maybe she has too much. It's worth about 4 million. Maybe she should take that. She can keep $1 million. I'm sure she can survive for the next 10 years.
They like to do that to other people, Jeff, just not themselves.
And give it all away.
Right.
And actually, if she was going to be altruistic, I'd rather her figure out and give her money to charities and figure out a way to help people versus, take her money and give it to the government that, we know would just kind of disappear.
But if you have a lot of money, Jeff, this is the game you play. You're like, I have so much money, man. I should be paying so much more tax. I'm like, Warren Buffett said, my secretary pays more percentage tax than I do. It's not right. Yet at no point ever, this has never happened where you can actually tick a box and contribute money and pay more. Weird how nobody does that, right? So they don't volunteer. They just complain about it like, I don't pay enough taxes. We should change the rules on that because that way you don't get attacked. And that's a really good way to go. It's like he's just sort of, and speaking of,
just one more point before you think, keep that at top of mind. But Warren Buffett, that whole argument that his secretary paid more tax, a higher percentage of tax of her overall income. His might be a lower percentage, but he's still paying a hell of a lot of taxes. And the money that he has and the businesses that he's involved in employ a hell of a lot of people.
Right.
And those businesses that he owns and is involved in pay a hell of a lot of taxes. Just like, Elon Musk, said, what was it, overall paying around $11 billion in taxes? What kind of, craziness are we talking about? But, if we look at all of these individuals, are there different ways that people can avoid certain taxes and decrease the amount of tax they pay? I'm sure, and they do, and they take advantage of every possible opportunity. It's like if you own land and it's empty and you can put cows on it, you can turn it into farmland and you can get incentives from the state as farm incentives for that land. And we have it right here in South Florida. We have cows in the middle of the city, because of that, for that purpose. But at the end of the day, that secretary, she's working, she's doing a great job for him, but she's not employing thousands of other people. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jeff.
It's kind of crazy.
Well, look at this right here. We talk about how concerned the SEC has been about, they've basically announced that any secondary market sales of XRP securities, anybody who's ever held a security. Meanwhile, the biggest seller of the so-called SEC's deemed security, Leonidas says that after a 4-month pause, Jed McCaleb started selling his XRP again with 700 million XRP left in his taco stand wallet. He's been selling billions, Jeff, not a peep out of the SEC. Not a, hey, you shouldn't be doing that. not it's a security, not, hey, you're the guy that was one of the original founders. Why don't they come after? So this is the part that I want to know a little bit about, Jeff. Like that doesn't make any sense. If Jed McCaleb was one of the original sort of founders, and the reason he's selling this XRP now was because that was part of his original compensation, right? He was given a whole bunch of XRP. When he left and separated, they eventually took him back to court and said, you can't dump it all in the market. So he was dumping it on a daily basis as per the agreement that they had. But what makes no sense to me is if 8 years ago, Ripple was supposed to know, Brad Garlinghouse came on the scene in 2015. But if Brad Garlinghouse, and what about Jed McCaleb? Wasn't he one of the original guys? How come there was nothing against him? How come, Larson was there since the beginning? You got to remember that Garlinghouse came in 2015 to be the CEO. He was a late comer, but he's talking about one of the original guys that's dumping supposedly this securities that the SEC is deemed, right? But not a word, not a peep, not anything like, hey, don't do that. No action enforcement against Jed McCaleb. This whole thing is very fishy. And it's kind of odd to think that the one guy that nothing happened to out of the Mt. Gox debacle was Jed McCaleb. You got this whole Ripple thing going on. Who is untouched? Jed McCaleb. Starting to sound a little bit, I'm not drawing any dots there, imaginary dots there, Jeff, but something doesn't smell right there. Something's very strange, right?
Something's a little fishy.
It's a little dry.
He has a net worth of around $2 billion.
From his XRP
and in 2020, he sold around $400 million worth of XRP in 2020. So let's see here. Based on Whale Alert's research and Jed Balance, Protos estimates McCaleb has sold 4.65 billion XRP since 2014, with an approximate value of 2.6 billion. That was as of June of 2021. So that's interesting, right? Those are some interesting numbers. And to your point, if they're going to go after Garlinghouse, they're going after everyone. And you want to talk about selling on the secondary market, and he's still selling. At this point, he's selling amounts of money that should trigger an SEC audit or something, right? You would think, hey,
Jeff,
or $400 million. I mean, he's selling the amount of money he's moved. If it has been billion whatever, but if he sold $400 million, that's more than some companies are generating on an annual basis, significantly more, right? Than some small SMEs, small medium-sized enterprise. They're not doing $400 million a year, and so that's a massive amount of money. I mean, and that's then huge. Like you said, to have they care nothing, like zero focus on them whatsoever. It's kind of crazy to me. I don't get it.
No, I don't think anybody gets it. So Crypto G says Jed is Agent Smith. It could be, man. We talk about a little Matrix stuff going on here.
But to the point though, all the power to him. He's got the XRP.
Look,
he's selling it. He's living large.
I wouldn't show up. I would be like, you know what?
Stellar.
I'm out of the Stellar Foundation. I'm out of the whole thing. I don't need to do anything. $2 billion, Jeff. You're just done, right? I mean, it's like what
exactly.
What else do you have to do? I mean, like, why do you want to spend the time you have left on Earth? Go to another planet. I don't know. Build a time machine. Do something interesting. I mean, do something fun. Bring back Blockbuster, something along those lines. I don't know what you're going to do. But look at this, Jeff. I want to throw this up here.
Blockbuster DAO.
Oh, that's your screen. I was like, why is that not sharing my screen? Because it's not my screen.
I'm doing.
So here we go, right here. I'm sharing your screen. So
Jed
Stefan
McCaleb search.
Yeah, Stefan Huber said, "Oh my God, are you kidding me? Are you freaking believe this?" Speaking on January 24th, you got Gary Gensler, Mary Jo White, who's a former SEC chair, also on Team Ripple as far as the defense team. You got Bill Hinman, who famously gave the 2018 so-called the pass to ETH, which was his personal opinion. And you got Robert Jackson, which I love that Crypto Eddie calls him Snappy because he's always snapping his fingers. She calls him Snappy. So she put out a fun video about that today. Together at the meeting on the SEC security regulation. So look at this right here. Look at this overview. So you got, speaking at 8:15, Gary Gensler, 8:15 to 8:45. Most people will sleep through that, Jeff, because it'll be like, it'll be if you've seen him once, you've seen every appearance he's ever made. Then you've got, unless you have Decentralized Dan that will be there and maybe ask a really good question, but aside from that, you're probably not going to get anything. So then look at this. Then you've got at 9 to 10:15, right after that, you've got the SEC in 2022. Former SEC commissioners and division directors discuss how they expect the agency to approach its mission in 2022, including areas related to enforcement policy, public and private company regulation, and more. And this is interesting because the one guy, he's already done. He's off the stage. You got Robert Jackson, which I said, Bill Hinman, Mary Jo White, Stephanie Avekian, and Troy Paredes. So this is kind of an interesting thing. And of course, here's the schedule right here. It's a little odd to me. I believe it costs something like $1,800 to attend this, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just do this right here. Let's look at this. Let's look at this. Yeah, check out the program, blah, blah. So there's also something called ethics, managing risk and challenging transactions, security class action, and shareholder
ethics. Is Daddy G teaching it?
Not anywhere near it, Jeff. Nobody's going to let them get near it. If they do, they'll tackle them, take them right down. Key developments and trends, views from the plaintiff and defensive sides. And this is the one that's going to be the biggest debacle of all. Everything you always wanted to know about securities law, but were never given the chance to ask. And I'm going to assert, Jeff, you still won't get a chance to ask. There'll be all prepared questions. There'll be softballs for them to hit a little softball question and be like, and meanwhile, the same question that's on everyone's mind will not be asked. So I don't know. Whole thing is very tricky to me.
It's very odd.
Odd ducks.
Very odd. Sure. But Chip, you know what? They're bringing all these DAOs. The DAOs are popping up all over the place. And so now don't call this one a comeback. But this is Blockbuster, man. So what is up? Blockbuster Video making a comeback as a streaming service. I'll tell you what, I'm more excited to see Blockbuster come back as a streaming service than to see Radio Shack come back as a DeFi exchange. I don't get the whole Radio Shack name to DeFi, although we talked about it in the metaverse. It would be very cool to see a whole mall with all these old stores in it, like we were saying yesterday. But Blockbuster, man, I actually get it. I get it. I think it's great. I think the company grabbing the name, they're onto something, and revive it. You got a ton of money that's behind this project, and turn it into a streaming service. I think
it's awesome. It should be decentralized because it has the word block in it.
It should be. They should
actually is more relevant.
Really crush it. Yeah. And so the group is called Blockbuster DAO, and they've come from the crypto space. So, dude, this is probably the most exciting bit of news, of the week, in terms of something going on with an out of defunct business. But the DAO is short for, we know that, streaming on. Look at that. Would put the new form of Blockbuster streaming on the blockchain.
Yeah.
And it would have more influence by the members of the organization without one central decision maker at the top. I mean, this is awesome, man. Awesome. Blockbuster streaming option is for the DAO to raise money, estimated around $5 million to purchase the rights to Blockbuster name from its current owner, Dish Network. Boo, Dish Network. It isn't clear just how willing Dish is to give up the rights. Well, you know what? You're not doing anything with it. Get rid of it. Let these guys do something cool with it and make it relevant again. Man, that'd be freaking awesome. And then check this one out. Man, I'm loving this idea with the DAOs. Lynx DAO sold out of its membership and raised more than $11 million to buy a real world golf course. Man, how cool is that? Like, why didn't we think of that? Man, a Lynx DAO.
It's great. It's awesome, man.
So Lynx holders of the Lynx DAO membership have the right to purchase a membership to the course. Very cool. I'm liking it. I'm liking this idea of the DAO. Man. Very cool. Anyway,
that's very exciting. Cool. No, I like that because, I mean, it's funny because Blockbuster, you actually have the word block in there, blockchain, and it's blockchain based and it's a DAO. That's some crafty thinking by those investors who wanted to do that. So Jeff, look at this one here. You have crypto CEO Brian Armstrong buys Los Angeles home for $133 million.
I think he's
The chief
Jed
executive
McCaleb's neighbor now.
Yeah, he bought the Bel Air property from a Japanese entrepreneur, Hideki Tomita. Look at this,
Nice
Jeff.
house.
Now, this was I don't know. It looks a little bit underwhelming to me. I'll be honest. I mean, I know it's only part of it, but it looks like a block. Maybe that's the purpose, blockchain. I don't know.
Square.
But so James Rule XRP put this on. It just cracked me up. He goes, I wonder if he named it Songbird. That's the greatest. That was my favorite tweet of yesterday. I think it was yesterday or today. I wonder if he named it. It was today, maybe Songbird. Get it? Because they didn't, as you know, Coinbase did not distribute Songbird, the SGB token.
They got them.
But not from Coinbase. So Coinbase, that's pretty interesting.
Coinbase got them, right? They're holding the SGB.
I don't know. Apparently they are. So, there's one of the views right there. I don't know. It's underwhelming for me.
The view kind of sucks.
It's just, I don't know. It's not great, man. But I look at this. There was this other one here. Where's this other one? No, where was it? Okay, so look at this one. This is blockchain entrepreneur Jonathan Yantis pays $12 million. This is
that's exciting.
Now look at this place here, Jeff. That looks like a $12 million man.
Dude, look at his views, man. The sunset.
Look at that. 33. This is outside of Denver. It's about 45,000 square feet with 11 bedrooms. It's $12.5 million versus $33 million, which is pretty underwhelming. Okay, it's in Bel Air. It's in, obviously in Hollywood there, but
this one.
Yeah, the Prince of Bel Air used to live there, Jeff, and who wasn't living in a $33 million manage.
He's got that anime hunter girl in the foreground.
Yeah, that's very property. Cool. Look at that. I mean, just that you look at that picture, it's just stunning right there,
That's awesome.
51 years old,
Dollar General CEO, huh?
Yeah. Well, Dollar General, I think he gave it up. So I don't know. But that to me is a stunning sort of a property right there. I mean, it's beautiful.
12 million for that. And what was the Coinbase guy? 133?
133, yeah.
Man, he could have taken his 133 million and moved out of California.
Well, this is the whole thing. Is like you don't want to live in California. You go look, I'm going to be phoning it in. Maybe you spend like $10 million of that dollars creating a hologram of yourself if you think you have to be on site. Just like I'm a hologram, you walk around. You can be like the next Mark Zuckerberg. I've seen androids more convincing, Jeff. I mean, he's almost more convincing in the metaverse than he is in real life. It's really strange. I don't know. What are you going to do?
Crazy stuff, man.
What are you going to do? Look
Crazy
at the time,
stuff.
Jeff.
They should be moving to Puerto Rico. There's no
Puerto
capital
Rico?
gains tax when you move there. You have to live in Puerto Rico 50% of the time, and you don't pay capital gains.
Jeff, this was a funny thing right here. I saw this tweet right here. This guy, Mike Alfred, I don't know who he is, but it's a fun tweet. He says, I talked to 15 billionaires last week. Every one of them asked about Bitcoin. Not a single one asked about Cardano, Ripple, Hex, Doge, or NFTs. I'm like, and then JV said, well, if they're new to crypto, of course, the only thing they're going to ask about is Bitcoin, especially if that's the only thing CNBC, Yahoo, and other media outlets report on. And then there was one here. Let me see if I can find it here.
But still, it's the big name, first mover advantage. Everyone hears about Bitcoin. Billionaires, they're first going to be attracted to Bitcoin. It's kind of sexy in their circles.
Yeah, and look at
you hear about Michael Saylor. He's crushing it.
And Tag's like, who are the 15 billionaires you spoke with? I mean, who are the 15 billionaires you spoke with? Dude, 15 billionaires. We spoke with one billionaire. 15. We've only ever spoken with one billionaire. We got a podcast. So these guys speak to 15 billionaires.
Just like that.
And then there was one, I don't even know if I could find it. It was like so many of them in here. Somebody said, I contacted 15 billionaires and they told me to get lost or something like that, right? It's like 15 billionaires got time to talk to you about their blockchain investment. They're not going to tell you that. That's ridiculous.
Hey, check this out. Sir John is saying 100,000 for Caribbean country citizenship, no capital gains tax. There you go. You can buy your way in.
There you go. Buy your way in. You live in the Caribbean, and then you're wiped out by the first hurricane that comes heading west over there.
Puerto Rico.
That's the problem. At least Florida's built for that stuff,
Yeah, man.
It's always going to be something, cool. Jeff. But anyway, look, I mean, it's that time again. Look at 222 people right now. Why don't you guys click that that thumbs up. Click
Nice.
that thumbs up, and let's get that puppy going. I mean, man, let's
222 people, 22,222 subscribers in 2022. Hey, kick that to a third person out. Let's keep 222.
Bam, just go ahead and do it, man.
226.
Keep it
Practice Media
rolling.
Group. Appreciate it. Keep it rolling. Happy New Year to you too. Appreciate
Happy New
you.
Year, man. Everybody, Happy New Year. It's going to be a
Happy
great year,
New
2022.
Year.
The one altcoin that didn't have an all-time high, that didn't break its all-time high, is going to have an all-time high. It's going to be glorious, Jeff. But anyway, let's get out of here. It's that time again, Jeff. I've got nothing. You have anything? I just want to thank everybody for being here.
That's it. That's exactly what I've got. We got the smartest, the brightest, and the best in the crypto space all gather here nightly, Sunday through Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and every single Saturday morning, except for the ones that we take off, at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I had to throw that in there. But check out the website onthechain.io, onthechain.io. It's very cool. You go check out the website, support On The Chain over there, support On The Chain over here. Show up. Be here, enjoy, and tomorrow's another night, Chip. It's already midweek. I can't believe it's Wednesday.
Hard to believe.
Where is
Jeff.
this year going? This year is flying by already. Flying by. So we'll check everybody out tomorrow night, Chip.
Yeah, guys, we'll see you guys on the next one. So everybody be safe. We'll see you tomorrow. Chip and Jeff out.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.